Another week means another new GBL Cup, and another new cup means another prep guide. So this week, we'll be looking at the best Pokemon for the Weather Cup, so prepare for gusty winds, rain, and sunshine as we break it down. Welcome back everyone. The Weather Cup will actually be our first Ultra League limited format, besides Premier and Remix Cups. This one will only permit Fire, Water, Ice, and Rock type Pokemon, so we'll first go over some of the best Pokemon of each of these types, then go over a few teams to try out. Starting off with Fire, we don't have many good ones. This isn't dissimilar to the Summer Cup, where Fire was also one of the lesser types of the Cup, just because Fire types aren't usually great for PvP. They do hit hard, but they're often more frail and weak to common types. Still though, there is one who will have prominence here, and that's Blaziken. The amazing fast move Counter is a big reason, because where Fire Spin is only super effective on Ice, Counter adds Rock to that list and still does strong neutral damage against Fire and Water types. But moreover, it'll act as a great counter to one of our main Rock type Pokemon. And what is that Rock type, you may ask? Cradily. It'll easily be one of the best Pokemon in the Cup. Not only is it quite bulky, but it also has great type coverage, with Rock being super effective on Ice and Fire, and Grass being super effective on Rock and Water. Like we just said, Blaziken is one of its biggest counters, resisting Grass and having super effective fighting moves, but otherwise, Cradily makes a strong, bulky member for this Cup, though it does need to have perfect IVs and be at level 50 to hit 24.99, so it's certainly not easy. But another Rock type who's viable is Regirock. While Regirock's coverage isn't as good as Cradely's, Regirock is bulkier and it can charge its powerful charged moves really fast. This will let it beat several meta Pokemon, but it will struggle against Water types, Razor Leafers, and even the frailer Blaziken. But if you can plan around those Pokemon, it can be a great addition. Up next, with the recent addition of Double Kick on Terrakion, it also becomes a solid addition to this Cup. It plays a similar role to Regirock with Rock and fighting moves, but Double Kick gives it more fast move pressure, and it can really be spammy with Sacred Sword. Moving on to Water types, there's so many who are viable, so we're going to run through these a little faster. Swampert is good in most Cups that allow Water, and this one is no exception. Hydro Cannon can do strong neutral damage against several Pokemon in the meta, and Earthquake is something that other Water types can fear. It's a solid, spammy choice. If you're willing to build a perfect level 50 Lantern, it'll do quite well in this Cup, taking down most of the other Water, Rock, and Fire types, though it does fold against things like Cradily and Razor Leafers. Tapu Fini has the most water fast move pressure with Water Gun, letting it comfortably threaten Rock and Water types, and Moonblast can hit most of the meta for strong neutral damage, making it a really good option. Samurott is a Water type with interesting coverage with its Bug type Megahorn, letting it have great coverage against Abomasnow, especially if you've charged it up before one switches in. There is one Water type I'd like to highlight a little more thoroughly though. Ludicolo is easily one of the best Pokemon in the Cup, and that's because of how consistent it is. With the powerful Razor Leaf, Ludicolo threatens most of the Water and Rock types of the meta, even Cradily. It's really only Blaziken and Ice types who threaten it a lot. Its charged moves matter a bit less because Razor Leaf charges energy slowly, but Ice Beam and Leaf Storm are both solid moves. Hydro Pump does help with Blaziken and things like Alolan Sandslash, but there's no guarantee you'll be able to charge that high energy move, so it may be worth sticking with the 255 energy ones. And last up, we have the Ice type, a type with a myriad of weaknesses, but some great Pokemon nonetheless. Up first, we have Abomasnow, and you can actually run it with either Powder Snow or Razor Leaf. Razor Leaf will give it the same deadly fast move pressure as Ludicolo, resulting in a lot of the same wins against Water and Rock types. Powder Snow is also viable though, letting you rely more on your charged moves, with Energy Ball being great against the many Water types in the Cup and a few of the Rock types as well. And Weather Ball is a great bait move and something to use against Cradily. Powder Snow will give you more options, but Razor Leaf can scare opponents into switching, sometimes even leading them to slip up. Next up, we have Alolan Sandslash, the ultimate counter to Razor Leafers. For this Ultra League Cup, you'll want to run it with its Community Day Shadow Claw over Powder Snow, as Shadow Claw will be neutral on most of the meta, whereas Powder Snow will be resisted by most of the Water and Ice types. Besides against Blaziken, the Ice and Steel typing comes in real handy against this meta, resisting both Grass and Ice, and even giving several Water types a hard time as well. The cons to this Pokemon do come with its charged move selection. Ice Punch may be a solid move, but its stronger move is Bulldoze, a relatively weak ground attack, so it's not the best choice out there. But if you run into a lot of Razor Leafers, throwing a Alolan Sandslash into your team would help a lot. And finally, we have Regice, who will definitely see some relevance in this cup. With the exclusive move Thunder, Regice will threaten a lot of the water types of the meta, and Blizzard will be able to help take down the rest. And that's not to mention Regice's insane bulk. This is definitely a Pokemon that works best toward the end of a match when shields are down, so when planning a team around it, try having it as your closer. And as always, while these were some of our highlights, there are plenty of other great choices for this cup that we didn't mention, so don't be afraid to try out other Pokemon. But as always, let's now take a look at some teams to try out for the Weather Cup. Up first is Swampert plus Abomasnow and Regice. Swampert makes for a great spammy lead, and even when you're faced by a water type, you can either try to hit them with an Earthquake or pivot to Abomasnow. I think for this team, Powder Snow will work better so you can make use of both of its charged moves, especially if they switch into something like Cradily. And if you can take out your opponent's shields using your first two Pokemon, Regice can deal with their backline with its powerful nuke moves. You'll want to watch out for Cradily, of course, as its grass and rock types can threaten your whole team, but you can still chip it down with Hydro Cannons and ice moves. For our next team, we have Regirock, Ludicolo, and Abomasnow. Now, the main counter to this team is the lone fire-type Blaziken, but otherwise, it functions similar to a notorious Great League team from back in the day, being a rock-type lead with two Razor Leafers in the back. So anytime your Regirock finds itself countered by a water type, you'll have two Razor Leafers in the back to hit hard. This will be a team that deals with water types especially well, while giving you a solid ice counter in the form of Regirock, but be wary of letting your Regirock faint earlier in the match, as you'll need it to take down Pokemon like Alolan Sandslash and have any chance against Blaziken. And on to our last team, we have Blaziken alongside Gyarados and Kingdra. The idea is pretty simple here. Blaziken works well to beat many of the rock and ice types, but what beats Blaziken? Water types. And both Gyarados and Kingdra are great at beating other water types like Swampert and Samurott. You can also try substituting Gyarados out for Tapu Fini to give you more coverage against other enemy Gyarados and Kingdra. Tapu Fini itself is actually the main threat to this team, but Blaziken's Brave Bird can keep that water fairy type at bay. And that just about wraps up this GBL Cup analysis. Are you going to try out this Ultra League Cup, or are you going to stick to the standard Ultra? Be sure to let me know, as well as what team you're planning to use for either in the comments below. And if you like this prep guide, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss our future guides. The Evolution Cup full of middle stages will be our next new cup, so stay tuned for a guide on that. Until next time though, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.